have such sights to show you. We're Poppin the Scary Horror Podcast here. I'm your host, Coale, and with me, as always, I have my good friend and co-host, Aaron.
Hey.
How is the spooky season for you, the spooky month?
Oh, it's poppin'. The scary is poppin'
Oh,
today.
man. Oh, man. And I'm sure you're popping at the bit with the return of Michael Myers here. That was a fun surprise for you last episode where you were just like, okay, like because you usually keep pretty neutral sort of usually with the teaser. There's rarely a time where you just kind of frown. Usually the frowning comes after you've seen the movie. And I think if I had to guess, it's solely because of the title, The Return of Michael Myers, where for those unfamiliar, but probably already know at this point if you're somewhat familiar with horror, Halloween 3 has nothing to do with Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure whenever you thought Halloween 4, you were like, oh, okay, where's it going?
Yeah.
You know, because it diverted entirely differently, but this one is blatantly saying the return of Michael Myers.
I think that's a smart move, honestly, from their marketing department. Cause I'm sure there's a lot of people that watch 3 and were like, "What the fuck? Where's Michael?" And then for the 4th one, they were like, "He's back, guys. He's back."
Yeah, like please come see this movie.
He's in
he
it
is
this
back.
time. We won't do that again.
Yeah.
What I think would be really funny is if he's actually not in this movie. I think that would be the biggest brain thing for them to do.
Yeah, so you're just as a general idea, consensus of the Halloween franchise. Obviously, you don't have to spend too much talking about the first 3 parts, but your journey, fair to say, has been somewhat middling. Like 2 was a little bit of a surprise on how much you thought that one was a little bit better than the first one. Yeah. And then the 3rd one, you're like, I appreciate it kind of doing something unique, but ultimately didn't really pay off.
Right, although that being said, I still vividly remember the little TV commercial song.
That is the best thing about the film, and there's no if and or buts about it. You cannot tell me anything else beats great. That Halloween bop.
Yeah, it's a vibe.
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
It gets me in the spirit.
Yes, it does. It's definitely a bop there, but so with Michael more than likely making a return, any expectations you have for the 4th installment of the Halloween franchise at all?
Oh, man. I don't know. See, here's the thing. I really have limited knowledge because I know about the new ones that have been coming out like lately, just from commercials and stuff, and I know about, the first-ish one or whatever whenever I was first going into that, but this is the territory where I don't know what these movies are about at all. I don't know if Jamie Lee Curtis is in this or not. So that's my big thing I'm looking for. Is this a Jamie Lee Curtis Michael Myers movie, or is this just like, I don't know, Michael and some other random people, and then they're gonna bring Jamie back later? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I am flying in blindly as well. I have vague ideas of moments in the series that I'm like, okay, I know this actor appears in somewhere in this vicinity there, or people had an issue with this, or people liked this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff I've heard, but it's just kind of all tangled up in a big knot there, because I've actually never sat down and watched all the Halloween films. I just usually watch like the first one the most, second one every now and then, which I still have a little bit of a sentimental attachment to, since that's kind of like the first film I watched in the franchise. But that being said, I don't know. Whenever it comes to the 4th installment and them bringing Michael Myers back, it's really kind of difficult to kind of have an expectation of what I want. It's just at this point, it's just sort of like, show me what you got. Right. Like that's kind of where I'm at. Like I feel like I'm on America's Got Talent as a judge, and I'm just like, All right, whenever you're ready, Michael.
Right.
Yeah, something like that, anyways. The question is, how soon will we press the buzzer, if at all?
True.
So there's only one way to find out. Definitely stay tuned as we see how the return of Michael Myers goes.
It's a no for me, dog.
It's a no from me.
Phew! Okay, fellas, fire away!
And we have returned, just like Michael Myers returned in Halloween 4. So after that, you want some more? I don't know. I don't know.
That was, yeah, I don't know. How do you feel? How do you feel about that movie?
I mean, I feel like that should already let you know.
Yeah.
You know, for how bad it could have been worse.
Yeah,
But
I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was a solid movie that had some really bad moments.
yes, and it's a. I will say this. It's fun seeing Michael back, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, does he seem a little different to you?
Yes, he does. It's hard because, and I guess we'll talk about this more with characters and stuff, but I feel like every slasher sort of has a vibe to them there. And for the most part, even though we've seen Michael in technically 3 films, I just feel like between 1 and 2, I felt like was more consistent than 2 to 4, basically. I don't know, because I feel like every slasher has their style, and while I think there is room to move around and stuff and everything, I felt like it was just, I don't know. That it definitely felt different and everything.
Yeah.
This is a weird one, folks, at least for me, where I'm just kind of like, okay, what do I applaud versus condemn, basically, with that.
Yeah. I mean, what about it? You say it seems a little different. Like, what about it seems different from the core Halloween franchise?
It's just the sort of vibe, because I feel like Michael has always unintentionally been goofy.
Yes.
Like driving cars and just doing stuff or whatever.
Just his expressionless mask.
But
goofy too.
I felt like some of the ways they like had Michael sort of just like sneaking around, I was like, okay, yeah, I could see that. But then there was like a couple of moments that I'm like, okay, we're just playing it for laughs. And I feel like mostly, and this is probably why I like it so much, I feel like a lot of times more comedy horror kind of comes from the Scream franchise and or Friday the 13th franchise. I mean, Friday the 13th's literally campy and everything. So whenever they kind of do something goofy and stuff, it just feels in the spirit of it and everything. But with this, I got like hints of like, okay, it kind of reminds me of Halloween, but at the same point, there's one point in particular I'm like, what are we doing here, film?
Yeah.
Like, wait, what is this and everything? It just all kind of felt goofy in a non-Halloween way, I guess.
Yeah, there's definitely some over-the-top stuff. I think in particular, there's a lot of, like, Michael Bay-ass action.
Oh, my lord.
Explosions and shit. I mean, that seemed like a step above from what we normally see in the franchise. Some of the kills and things are just, like, insane.
Yeah, 2 got pretty insane with the explosions and stuff.
That's true.
Remember that one trick-or-treater? And then it's time, Michael. Doing that, but I don't know. We'll have to dissect the goofs and gaffs this film had to offer and everything, because Aaron and I definitely laughed out loud pretty gosh darn hard at the film and everything. So yeah, I guess one good place to start is let's talk about the plot of Halloween 4.
The movie.
Plot of the movie.
It's called Halloween 4 and Michael Returns. There's the plot.
Yep, there we go. Anyways, so this film takes place 10 years after the initial Halloween attack where Laurie Strode was attacked by Michael Myers in the first 2 films and everything. By the way, if you don't know this, we're already going to be spoiling the other films.
Yeah.
-3 because 3 doesn't really have a lot
It doesn't have
for
anything to do.
That's nothing. They just ignored that film entirely. And basically, turns out Michael survived the explosion in the hospital.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Whoa.
And as they're transferring him to another ward, he escapes. And Dr. Loomis, who also is revealed to have survived the explosion instead of going out with a bang on the second film, is also alive and, for the most part, not that maimed and everything.
Yeah, he's just got a little bit of a burn thing going on, and he's got walks with a cane, but is otherwise pretty fine for an old man.
Yeah, for surviving an explosion like that,
Yeah.
he fared off pretty well. So,
Right.
anyways, and as it's revealed later on, Laurie Strode is, I guess, dead. So the question is, who is Michael Myers hunting? Laurie Strode's daughter, who's about 10 years old. So it was like, I guess, literally born soon after the attack.
Laurie's not dead, is she? She's just, they said she's been gone for 11 months, but she was like dead?
From what I gathered, because whenever the niece, well, not niece, good lord, see, here's where it is. So the little girl, Jamie, was praying. She was like, "Mommy and Daddy in heaven."
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So that's supposed to be her daughter then?
Yes, and that's why the foster parents adopted her, I guess. That's what I picked up anyhow from it. Still, you wouldn't expect Laurie Strode to be pregnant. She didn't even ask that one guy out yet.
Yeah, they kind of like, I guess, I don't know. A little bit of a time skipperino, but...
Yeah, so, like, plot-wise, I get it. Jamie Lee was basically, I'm sure, done with the film. She's like, I'm not doing this anymore. This is stupid. I'm out,
But
basically.
how does she come back later? She must not really be dead.
Yeah, so are you talking about the brand spanking new films?
Yeah.
Okay, the brand spanking new films, I can actually explain this without spoilers. So starting with Halloween in 2018, that was considered a reboot to the series, which was a sequel to 1. It even overlooked 2. And
so they just retconned a bunch of stuff.
Yes, they retconned a whole lot of stuff. They even retconned 2 whenever it was popped up that, like, Laurie and Michael were brother and sister. And I guess, and I don't know, like I said, it's been a while since I've seen the remake. I don't know if they retconned the family connection there or not, but I know that 2 is technically retconned. It's just from the first one. So that's why Laurie's back in that one.
That makes sense. Okay, because I was trying to, like, figure out how these things work. That's why I was like, she's dead? Like, because I was like, no, but she can't be dead.
Yeah, because the series has been, I mean, technically rebooted 4 times if you include the spin-off, like, third one or whatever, because they made... And apparently it gets really funky in the series. They're actually... Oh my gosh, there's 4 or 5 types. It's been rebooted a lot in its history, so have that to look forward to, but it was rebooted within its own sequel numbers, as well as remade and rebooted by Rob Zombie, and then they have the new 2018, which has been spearheaded by, like, Danny McBride or something like that.
Whoa!
Yeah, whoa! Anyways, so at the very least, that's what I gather from the plot, and already, if we're struggling on trying to pick up the dots from where it's at, it's pretty apparent that Halloween 4's plot is pretty goddamn messy.
Yeah,
it is
a little
pretty
bit
messy. I mean, it's straightforward, but then it's like as soon as you try to explain it, it just gets more convoluted and weird.
Yeah, the lore seems a little mixed up, but yeah, it's I don't know. I feel like the plot's pretty, like, once they're like, okay, he's escaped and he's trying to kill this girl. That's like the whole movie.
Yes, like on surface level, it's basically him hunting down what is to be his niece, since it's Jamie Lee. Jamie's the niece, which I find funny. I'm sure they probably named her Jamie after Jamie Lee Curtis, being the mom, Laurie Strode, and
they named
everything.
her like Jamie Lynn or something too. It's like close.
Yes, very, very close. And so basically that's what the whole film boils down to plot-wise. But if you dive into the why, that's where things get very, very confusing, to
Yeah.
say the least there. And so, like, plot wise, I mean, I feel like it's fine. I feel like, you know, Michael isn't really like Jason in the sense where, Michael is like a heat seeking missile, and then if
Mm-hmm.
people happen to be in his way, they die, as opposed to Jason is just raining revenge for his mother
Mm.
against all teens who decide to screw around, basically.
Right.
Um, but I mean, for bringing Michael back, I mean, it's, I don't know. I guess it's fine on the surface level. It's just how much more they decide to do with the lore and stuff, where I'm like,
Yeah, that's. I guess my question is, do you think they sold it? Like, yeah, Michael's coming back to kill this kid, but like, I don't know. Were you into it, or did it fall flat?
it works, I guess.
Okay.
Like, that's where I'm at. Like, it's more about everything else, kind of how the film like decides to bring up
Mhm.
new information or new revelations, new this, where I'm like, okay.
Right.
Well, all right. I don't know. And because here's the thing as well that kind of bothered me about the film is the fact that I feel like for the return of Michael Myers, you see a lot of the aftermath, but
Yeah.
none of the actual action of it.
That's true.
And I just feel like maybe they were just, I don't know, trying to avoid getting a hard R rating, but I feel like they had quite a few like graphic kills in 1 and 2. Like, at the very least, I remember that, but in this one it's just more like they're behind Michael and they just find it. They're like, and I feel like, it's like a slasher and everything, and that's kind of like the fun is watching
It's
the
watching
chase.
the kill, yeah, and the chase and the kills, but yeah, you feel like you've been robbed a little bit.
A little bit. So that's where I'm like a little like confused. It's like, oh, Michael's back, but at the same point, while you do see Michael stalking a hell of a lot, it's just more so the kills that are kind of like, okay. I don't know.
Some of the ones we get though are pretty good though. I think, right? I mean, some of them are pretty good. I like. There's one that involves a shotgun that's not going off, but it's going up.
That's true.
That one was funny.
Yeah, I will give credit for that. There's definitely a few kills that I'm like, okay.
I feel like the ones they show are all right. When he's like reaching through the window of a car at one point,
Yeah.
that kill was funny. I don't know.
I think I'm just spoiled to Friday the 13th, always jazzing it up, or
Well,
like.
you say it's always jazzing up, but we've watched several movies of Friday the 13th where it's just like machete. Yeah, like.
Well, I think 2 was the main exception because that was more pickaxe
The 2
there.
is. Oh, yeah.
But
Or just
I
like
don't
the
know.
same kind of stab over and over. I feel like this one, whenever they did, I feel like I agree with you. They should have showed a lot more than they just kind of like you walk up and then there's just a
Yes.
dead body and it's like okay, and that happened too many times for it to be cool. But yeah, I feel like some of the ones they did show, they got like creative with it at least.
Yeah, that is true. I would definitely say that it is kind of funny because I mean I guess we'll talk about it later, but there was like some kills that I'm like, okay, this will happen, and then it's not actually what happens there. Like I thought there's going to be at least one kill where this happens, and it never does or
True,
whatever.
yeah.
But I don't know. I guess it was just one of those things that it also just felt kind of brief. Like I was hoping for more moments like that of like, oh damn, because like Michael is basically described as this force of evil, this force of nature and everything, and
There's a lack of chase. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, for sure.
There's
Like,
a lot of kills, but a lot of them are just kind of like he walks up, kills, and there's no like.
yeah,
Where's this?
because I mean I think that's like the fun thing about Michael. Like he's like a little strutter, he's like a little strut whenever he stalks and walks
Yeah.
there. Whereas like Jason's like this brutal force, like can run and everything. And granted, in later iterations he can be like slower, but I don't know. I was hoping for more kind of cat and mouse stuff, and while I felt like we got it, I don't know. I think I just enjoyed Michael a little bit more in 1 and 2, but maybe that's just me looking at it favorably or whatever.
But do you think he had more goofy moments in this one?
Oh
too?
my gosh, yes, absolutely.
That can really take away from the like scare factor of a villain when you're watching him like.
But
just stand in front of
yeah,
the car
but
and get it.
I think you've also raised a good point in previous films though that he is kind of goofy, like how
He's
he just
goofy.
drives Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm just remembering
Them
stuff in this
driving,
film.
yeah.
Yes, anyways, like driving a car in the first one
Yeah.
and just sort of doing that, but that, I don't know, like, I think I'm just still trying to, like, chew out exactly how I feel about this film and everything. So, I guess, I mean, we've already talked a lot about Michael, so we might as well just finish it here and everything. So, overall, were you pleasantly okay with Michael? Because I know that's been kind of like one of the weaker things where you were like super excited about seeing Michael, but he kind of almost was a little bit underwhelming. It felt like in the first two
I
parts.
feel like you get to see a good amount of Michael in this movie. I agree that I would have liked to actually seen him kill, because like there are times where you just like you come upon his devastation rather than seeing it, probably too many times. But yeah, I mean, I thought, I don't know, he's goofy. It's hard to be like, I love Mike.
Yeah,
And because I also think the presentation of Michael was like, this is gonna sound like Family Guy talking about The Godfather or whatever. I feel like it insists upon itself sometimes. You know? I feel like they're resting on the laurels of Michael being an icon, maybe a little too much.
oh my gosh, that is so true.
They're like, there's too many shots of like, ooh, there's the mask in the mirror. Oh, here he is in the back. Oh, you know, he's an icon. We could just show you the face. We could just show you the face over and over. Oh, look, there's all these kids randomly dressed up exactly like him for some reason, you know? And it's like, I don't know. I feel like maybe they just led that on a little too thick and it wasn't doing as much for them as they thought it was.
Yeah, because I know like this came out 10 years after the original and everything, so I'm sure, and like it almost feels like I think you made a good comparison. Oh my god, I already forgot your comparison. What you compared him to, like just like they depended on him being too much of an icon.
Yeah.
Anyways, my reference was going to be that episode of SpongeBob with the talent show at the Krusty Krab, and they stick SpongeBob's hand out.
And it's
Just
Michael's head.
Yeah, like I feel like that's I feel like that's what it was as well, because like they were just depending. It's like they were almost depending on the hype too much of like, he's back. Like people are just going to go like Marvel fanboy, just screaming like Michael. And I don't know, like overall, like I didn't have a problem with his portrayal per se, which again, I've been on record saying Michael, as I can understand why people love him or gravitate towards him, I'm just like I like him. I like Mike. That's
I do like the character, and like I was cool. I was like, oh, I liked how they showed, how he sort of assembles his costume too as he goes.
I thought that was really neat as well.
And I was like, oh, this is cool. But then I think there were just a few moments where I was like, all right, you guys are doing a little too much. This isn't, Mickey Mouse, all right? This is, I don't know.
Yeah, because in all honesty, I kind of liked at the beginning, because he's like all bandaged up and everything, and they actually have like a reveal of him being like partially the Michael Myers we know, and I thought that shot looked pretty cool and everything. Man, it's so hard to know what to spoil versus not, so I guess I'll save that for spoiler section. But the one of the portrayals they had of Mike, I was kind of like, you know what, I kind of dig it. I kind of dig it. So it's, yeah, I mean, overall, like if I had to say my feelings about Mike, like despite some moments being like, yeah, I don't know about that one there, like it was a decent performance. I was like, okay, like this hit the bar and everything. And thinking about the kills, whether they were like, oh man, that's actually kind of brutal, versus this is absolutely unhinged goofiness and everything, which does play in its favor, but for the wrong reasons there. Yeah, I mean, overall, I felt like he was, for the most part, pretty A-okay. And in this film, he's no longer played by, let's see, what was it? Dick Warlock? Was it
Dick Warlock?
No, not this time. But I was trying to think of all the Michael Myers that had played.
Previous.
It was George P. Wilbur.
Oh.
Yeah, because I think it was like Nick Castle and Dick Warlock and everything. But now this time was George P. Wilbur, and I felt like George did a fine job. You know, it's just like, definitely did the walk and everything else there. So I don't know. While I was waffling on the Michael thing there, I think ultimately the points you do bring up are valid enough to where I'm like, yeah, okay. I think I'm just being a little too harsh on that and everything else. Whereas it's easy to look at the rose tinted glasses of my boy Jason and everything.
True.
Doing that. So yeah. And we'll talk more about Michael, I'm sure, and everything. But one of the big names returning is Donald Pleasance, playing Dr. Loomis once again. And I don't know. Like I said, it's hard. It's tricky because I don't know if you felt this way, but like I feel like the script of the film overall was pretty by the numbers with the conversation. Like it's like, oh, what would this girl say to this one and this one to that one?
Right. It does feel a little bit, I don't know, I don't want to say like fan fiction, but it's almost like they
fan fiction is a pretty damn good word.
It's like he's a caricature of himself. Yeah.
Yes.
He's like, I gotta find Jason. Or sorry, I gotta find Michael. Whichever protagonist of horror movies this one is.
Yes.
No, he's just, I don't know. And that's just his whole character. He doesn't have anything else. He's just like, you fool. You've underestimated Michael. We've seen him this way for 2 other movies now. And
it's bad, too, because Donald Pleasance is a hell of an actor. Just very, like, classically trained and everything. So I could tell he's definitely not, like, just... I'm here just for the paycheck. I think he's just sort of confused as well.
Well, just the way the script demands it is like in the other movies, there's like a ramping of action, especially in the first one, or they're trying to convince people, and all this stuff. But this movie, it's just one note the entire time, and that he's panicked and Michael's back, and it's just when you have an entire movie where a character doesn't change from that state, it's like it's not that compelling of a character anymore. But.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I felt like at the beginning they tried to make him almost like. I don't know, for lack of a better word, just like a war veteran and everything, just kind of like having to relive the trauma of like going through something like that. But at the same point, they just kind of went towards manic Loomis again. So
right, which like makes sense for his character because I would be that way too. If this is the 3rd time you guys have let Michael out.
Yeah, at this point, I'd be like,
God,
what? Like. Oh my fucking God, you guys are idiots doing something like that. But, I mean, overall, I have a soft spot for him, admittedly. He's a fun actor, even if he is just very over the top with some of the performances and everything else. But I will say this, I think him being in the film did help the film have some similar grounding as well, as opposed to getting a brand new entire slew of characters, because I feel like Halloween was more based in having those kind of like established characters and everything. So at the very least, I thought it was nice they were able to get him back for the film, and I do think it kind of helps add to stuff. But yeah, so it was nice. It was nice. Another character that appears is Rachel Carruthers, who is played by Ellie Cornell, who is the daughter of the main family that we see, who has taken in the daughter of Laurie Strode. Her being Jamie Lloyd, played by Daniel Harris. But going back to Ellie Cornell, I felt like for the most part, she also kind of suffered because of the script and everything. It's just like, you're just the older sister who has to kind of be the babysitter. You're the babysitter.
Right. I mean, those babysitter murder movie, there's got to be a babysitter.
And I just felt like for the most part, there wasn't ever a point where I kind of was growing more attached to her, but at the same point I didn't hate her. It was just kind of a cool spot in the middle there where I was just like, okay, she's not infuriating to listen to or anything else, but also
I liked her okay, but no, there wasn't a whole lot of spice to her. But no, I thought she did a good job.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I don't feel like it's really the actress's fault so much as it is just sort of the story giving her nothing to go off of. It's just sort of like, so it's unfortunate there and everything, but like I said, for someone you have to stick a majority of the time with during the movie, like, she was perfectly passable. Just inoffensive, just doing the job A-okay and everything. talking about the character Jamie,
Jamie.
it falls into the same sort of like character acting and everything with kiddos and everything, which at the time it looks like she would have been 11, I believe, because she was actually born in 77. So I felt like for the most part, I think it almost falls into the same category where it's just a fact of like what the script commanded her to do as a kid. I felt like her acting performance was actually pretty well done and everything.
I'd agree with you. I thought she did really well.
Yeah, I thought it was good, especially the crying and everything. Just genuinely seemed actually terrifying, crying and everything. It's unfortunate because the script has her go through these mood swings. It gets immediately better and everything. And I understand kids can bounce from emotions back and forth like that, but it almost reminds me, have you ever seen that clip from Digimon where it says like, stop crying? He's like, yeah, you're right. Or it's like stops immediately. That's kind of like how I felt. Like the story's like, okay, we can't have you crying the entire time. Come on, let's go get ice cream.
We need to show you're traumatized, but also crying is annoying, so stop.
Yeah, just stop, okay? You act like someone's going to kill you, okay? Knock it off.
I can see that.
Yeah, so that was like the only thing, and like the trajectory of her character and everything as well, I have several comments about whenever it comes towards the end of the film and everything else, but overall, like, I feel like the idea is like fine that, you know, Michael is chasing another relative, although I am curious on, like, I guess, like, he overheard, like, in the medical ward that, you know, oh yeah, you know, Laurie Strode had a daughter that's living in Haddonfield.
Right, like, how do you come across that information?
Yeah, and I guess, because I'm guessing that's just what it was. That just sends Michael, he's like, okay, I gotta go kill him because that's me.
Right.
And I think that's like the thing, like I'm just so curious as to why Michael is so hell-bent on killing like his family and everything, or at least like his like just I guess family technically, but
yeah, even somebody he's never met at all. Yeah,
I don't know. And so that I guess it just I don't know. I'm sure they have some sort of mythos or something, but they just have never really talked about it besides saying he's pure evil. And it's just like, I understand that killers don't always need a motive for going around killing or whatever. Yeah. At the same point, though, it does just sort of be like, I guess he just goes after his family members and anybody that's there, he also kills.
It does make it weaker. I don't know. The strategy of motive just being like, monster. This is a monster. Because it's like, what did this kid do to him? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like in slasher movies, you're supposed to kind of like the bad guy, and you're supposed to be like, yeah, get him, or whatever. But, like, yeah, I don't know. With Michael, it's like, I don't actually want him to kill this tiny child that has nothing to do with him. Like,
yeah, it does feel weak. It's just more so like, okay, we need a reason for Michael to start killing again.
Yeah.
He has a relative. Go.
Yeah, the whole movie seems like they played it kind of safe, played it by the numbers. They were like, okay, well, his motivation, let's not do anything crazy. He has to kill his family member. We can't do his sister anymore because she doesn't want to be in this movie. So.
Yes.
And we gotta get Dr. Loomis back in here, and the movie has to just be about Michael killing babysitters and people around them. Like, it's just, I don't know, it seemed pretty, like, they did it safe. Probably because they did Halloween 3, and we're like, oh, people didn't like that. Let's do Michael back, and it's just Halloween, and it's the one you guys remember. It's the same thing, guys. But it just kind of comes off a little stale. But.
Yeah, I would very much agree with that. And, you know, for the most part, those 4 people, you know, Michael, Dr. Loomis, and Rachel and Jamie are kind of the main characters and everything, because they do have like other people.
They got the sheriff.
Yeah.
They got Bruce. They got Titty McGee.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they're there, but that's pretty much all there is. There's like, I don't know, there's just...
They try to set up some subplot stuff, but it's pretty cookie cutter.
Very cookie cutter there, and then like, yeah, I don't know. I felt like overall it was just to hit a quota and
It
everything
really
of
is
like,
to like fill time before Michael gets there. I guess like every one of those scenes where they're like, Bruce, I was supposed to go out with you, and then no, Bruce, what did you do? And
yeah,
I don't know, and then. There's a lot of in-between shit that's
yeah,
just like I never entered my memory saving bank because I was just like whatever.
yeah. Like the subplots were honestly pretty dadgum
They
weak
were pretty
there.
weak.
It was just like, why even include it? But I guess it's just filler. That's pretty much
Just so you have
all
something to
there
pay
is.
attention to while you're like seeing Michael's mask in the background. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, because it's just basically Rachel not being able to hang out with her boyfriend,
Yeah.
Brady, played by Sasha Jensen, who then decides he's like, oh, all right, I guess I'm going to go fuck around and find out there. And then you have the sheriff himself, played by Bo Star, Sheriff Ben Meeker, as IMDb says, and then lovingly called Tits McGee.
The sheriff's daughter.
Yes,
her name
yeah, Kelly Meeker, played by Kathleen Kinmont, and everything. She literally like. It's so bad because like it almost felt like this is a good actress that's given absolutely nothing. Like she's literally just there. It's like there just for body, not for spirit.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Her role was designed. The spirit goes to the other female characters in this movie. This female character was like, you walk around in a t-shirt and panties and nothing else for the whole movie.
Yes,
and
like,
she's like, got it.
You're like, all right, sure, why not?
They did a beautiful casting job for that role, I will say, but she probably has more acting chops than that
Very
role,
much
than
so.
that role required.
Yes, very much so. So, yeah, I guess one of the things I do want to talk about is, again, sort of like, we always talk about like kills and everything, just kind of like, like how each kill was and everything. But as we already established, like, there's a lot of killing,
Yeah.
but it's more so you see the aftermath than you do the actual killings. And even whenever they did show the killings, I felt like there'd be like one moment where like the first kill they have, I'm just like, oh, okay, that's unique there and everything else. But then the rest is just aftermath, and then it's like another. Then fortunately, there's like a little bit of a spree of like interesting kills there. Like I felt like in a short segment and everything, and then they just like they're like, okay, that's it, that's all.
That's what you
Can
got.
do, but I don't know. I felt like overall, like the kills were, I average, maybe like above average, like slightly above and everything. Like I said, got to give it for some creativity, but
I feel like each one had like enough creativity to hit the bar for me, but I don't think there's any that I'm gonna be like, oh, you gotta see this kill, man. Like, none of those were in the movie.
Because like I felt like there were some iconic kills in the first film, like literally whenever he stabs the guy against the wall and just steps back and looks and everything. I mean, that just stands out strongly and everything else.
I do just love the one the one I did mention earlier in the podcast with the shotgun.
Yes.
Where he like, I won't say who, but he does like just shove a shotgun through somebody.
Yeah,
and pin them to like the ceiling, I guess, or to the wall.
Yes.
And it's like, all right.
Yeah, we'll have to talk more of.
Because I see him with the gun and I'm like, oh shit, is he actually gonna shoot someone? I was like, that. He just stabs him with it.
I know, it's definitely funny, kind of like the fact that it almost feels like a gun for a slasher is a cop-out.
Yeah, I know.
Or something like that. It's like, you
are,
can't.
Are they gonna make him crazy and actually shoot a gun?
Oh man, we could talk a lot about guns this episode.
It's true, there's a lot of very funny gun moments.
Yes, so many funny moments there, but overall, like, I feel like if I left the theater in 88, like the return of Michael with some of the kills there, I'd be like, okay, I wish they would have shown like a few more kills there, but for the most part, I felt like it just hit like the bare minimum and just a little bit above that. So
Okay,
it's just like, yeah, okay. Music is Halloween music. Yeah. It's just it's funny how they use that, because I feel like on the one hand it's like, man, they're really milking it, but on the other hand it's a hell of a bop.
Yeah, I feel like they based it up, a little bit. This movie, they gave it some 80s deep bass drum action, and it was like, all right, Yeah, we were jamming for several of those. When the more actiony version of the theme, it was dope.
Yes, Bob's, good lord, heads were bobbing
Yes.
indeed during that moment. Anytime it came up, so it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, could you come up with different music, but at the same point, it ain't broke,
Right?
It's just like, all right, it's Michael's time.
The theme, you gotta have it in there.
Yes, that's exactly how it is and everything. Oh man, aside from that, anything else we could talk about before spoilers? I think we hit a lot of the main bullet points.
Yeah, I guess I'll just say that, like, cinematography wise, I felt like this one was doing pretty good. You know what I mean? I felt like 3 was also alright, but like, from what I can remember. But
Yeah,
I feel like just the quality of the film. I know we're getting more and more towards the modern era. This is what, like a late 80s film?
88. Yep.
I just felt like there was some more budget behind, at least, like, the way the film looked at a glance. I felt like, it looked maybe a little bit more sharper, more interesting than some of the other ones. I don't know, some of the camera angles they were doing, and just the acting level overall. I don't know, it felt like they had some more budget to play with. Some of the explosions, I don't know.
Oh my gosh, yeah, don't even get me started with pyrotechnics. Pyrotechnics in this film is crazy, absolutely unhinged and everything, and I think that's what also adds merit to the film and everything. I mean, it's like you said in Motel Hell, just like, explosions and fart noise,
Yeah.
doing that, like, it'll always work out, but yeah, I would definitely say that, but I think you're right about cinematography. I felt like, for the most part, it was competently shot and everything. I'm like, yeah, that's a good shot. I think they were.
There's definitely some, like, stunts and some special effects and stuff that don't work.
Oh my gosh.
Don't get me wrong.
But like, I think they just really, they try to have fun. They always like, as funny as, like, there's a lot of moments where they have cinematography set up to show, like, Michael stalking and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I laughed, but it wasn't even like, oh, this is so bad. It's just, I don't know what it is. Michael stalking is so goofy.
The mask, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't necessarily elicit a fear response from me when I see it.
He is not.
It's just like, there's Michael.
I don't know. It's just. I think that's the other thing too. Just being like, he's pure evil, and he just looks goofy.
Yeah, he does. He does. Like, I don't know. And I feel like you can make him creepy, but just the way it was shot and put together is he never really seemed scary in this movie.
No.
I don't think there was a moment where I was like, scared. It was just like, he's coming.
Yeah, I'm
coming.
Yeah, I definitely was not really scared of Michael and everything, because, like, even in, like, Halloween 1, I remember a lot of moments in Halloween 1 and even Halloween 2 where he's a lot more, I feel like, just shown more as a force of nature and everything. But in Halloween 1, there's definitely some shots where I'm like, okay, I would be unnerved. But there's something, I don't know if it's the lighting per se or something like that, where I'm just like, okay, here comes Michael.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole vibe of the movie just seems action-y, just seems like blockbuster, and
yes,
and for those reasons it just doesn't seem like Halloween 1, at least from what I remember, seemed a little more like we're in dark houses and heavy breathing, and like there was that suspense element. But I feel like a lot of that was shredded in this movie to be in favor of just like, and there's Michael,
Yeah, I think that's true, because, like, I think about scenes from the first film, like whenever Laurie is trying to get inside, like, I believe the neighbor's house, and he's just slowly walking across the street, like, I'm like, I'd be mortified there. Or like whenever they're like, again, I absolutely go on and on about this shot, how much I love it, and everybody else does, but whenever Laurie's freaking out about finding all the dead bodies and Michael's face just slowly appears from the darkness, like stuff like that, where I'm like, okay, he's scary. But in this one, he's just very goofy and everything, and like, I felt like, while it does work in the favor of making it enjoyable, I feel like it just sort of takes away what makes Michael a little more special and everything. Because at least with Jason, I felt like him, like, he can be like goofy and a lot of stuff, but he also can be terrifying with just how brutal he is. Whereas this one was just consistently goofy. Like, even whenever he's doing atrocious stuff, even some of the kills, I was just like, that's just a goofy way
right, yeah,
to kill someone. So I don't know. I'm of the same opinion as you, bud. Yeah, that's going to make rating this a wee bit tricky.
Interesting.
Yes, I guess if you're ready, Aaron, how about you rate Halloween 4?
I will rate Halloween 4. It's not going to get a 4. I'll give you that much.
Ooh.
It's going to be a little bit better than that, actually. I thought this movie was, I mean, we've talked about our feelings of it. Overall, I think they played it maybe a little too safe. The movie itself, there's not a whole lot that I'm gonna be like, yeah. Like when we inevitably sit down and probably do Halloween 5, I'm not gonna remember any details about this movie. I'm not. I'm gonna mix it all together with the events that happened in 1 and 2 and maybe even 3. Who knows? Because I don't know. There's not a whole lot that really stood out to me. I thought the ending, which we're gonna talk about, kind of didn't work amazingly well for me. Like, I see what they were going for, but I just don't think they set it up right. Gosh, there are several moments, I think as the movie goes on, more of these moments sneak in that are just like take you out of it because they were kind of bad, I'm like, this is it just gets clumsier and clumsier as the movie goes on, like how they get to trance scenes. They're like, where's this place? We'll be safe there. And it's like, well, they just needed to be there, I guess, because that's where they wanted the movie to go next. I don't know. So I feel like it does get sloppier as it goes on. But overall, it's like the parts of the cookie that they cut out were like good and polished enough that I can't like rate this poorly. But there's also not a whole lot that excites me about it, to be honest with you. But because it was a relatively smooth, put together, and not that, I think it was entertaining. It was like it's like the blockbusteriest version of this franchise I've seen so far. So I give it like a 5. It's like I went and saw the latest Marvel movie, and I was like, all right, that was well put together because they put a lot of money behind it, I guess. But it's not like I don't know. It's a 5 out of 10 for me. It was an entertaining movie. I wouldn't mind watching it again, but I'm not itching to do it again either.
Okay. Yeah, because I think you rated the first Halloween a 4 out of 10, and I think you rated the second one a 5 out of 10, if I remember correctly.
Maybe, yeah.
I think so, and then I can't remember nothing about 3.
I don't remember anything about 3. I remember the movie. I don't remember how I felt about it. I just remember parts of it now. But
I think I rated it a 3, and I think you were maybe a little bit higher.
Maybe. I did like some of the shit when they were going underground with the big layer and the fucking...
I can agree on I can agree on that part.
Yeah.
The layer thing, I was like, yeah, okay.
They tried some different stuff. I mean, I don't know. I'll vibe with that movie a little bit. But
well, that's good.
This movie, I mean, yeah. Like, I thought, yeah. I don't know.
Pretty standard for you.
Yeah. Some of the stuff was just so bad that I was like, wow, this does take it out. For the most of the movie, 90% of the movie was, like, acceptable. And so that's a 5 out of 10 for me.
Okay, well, I'm glad to see that we're pretty close whenever it comes to our feelings and how we feel about the film and everything. For me, it's tricky. It's very tricky because some moments that did happen that were just over the top Motel Hell kind of crazy moments and everything else like that, I did enjoy, but then I felt like there was just a lot of more downtime where it's just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What are we doing here, film? Just like, I know you're just adding fluff to add to it, and that just kind of unfortunately does subtract a little bit from me and everything. And I think it does boil down to the fact that while I do enjoy how goofy they make Michael in the movie, I felt like it was just a little more uncharacteristic. Like they just didn't make him as scary or as violent. I feel like to be fair, they did make him violent and awful with some of the stuff they did, but there was just never really a lot of instances of witnessing that. It's just more so the aftermath.
So he doesn't feel that monstrous. He just feels,
yeah, it's just sort of like, oh gosh, he did all this, but then you like look at him and it's just like a kid eating glue or something like that. I don't know, like, while there was definitely some moments where I'm like, oh, come on. Like, just like a little like, okay, no, I can suspend my belief a little bit, but you're really stretching it right now and everything. So I think because of that, I would actually place this as a 4. Now, 4 for me is like a little below average, but I find a lot of merit with it, and I don't know when I'll go back and rewatch this film in particular, so maybe it could go up potentially, but I mean, overall, I was just pretty like, there's some goofs and gaffs to be had with this film. I'm definitely glad I watched it with you, Aaron, because I think just by myself, I would have gotten in more enjoyment, but it was just more fun. Just again, just seeing this absolute craziness, and we are most certainly going to talk about some of our
Definitely.
crazy favorite moments of the film.
Some funny stuff.
So, I mean, I think there's definitely merit to the film. It's most certainly not even close to the worst film I've ever seen there. It's just for me, whenever I watched it, and especially the ending, where I'm just like, okay, we're going this route here. All right. Okay. Duly noted and everything. And I know we're going to play a game of, if I was rewriting the film, here's how I would have done it.
Here's how I would
So
script doctor.
because of that, yeah, I have to give it a 4. Like, that's pretty much how I feel. Still worth watching. If you like Halloween, you'll probably be fine watching this film.
I do think it hits a good vibe for the season. They
Yes.
do like the cozy community trick or treat Halloween Eve vibe, and
Mm-hmm.
then scary things happen. I don't know. It's a classic feel, and they nail that feeling, I guess.
Yeah, I would probably say that. So yeah, with that being said, we gonna spoil the hell out of this film now.
Spoiling.
Spoil it, Aaron. Take it away. Spoil it.
Ooh, like the fridge has been unplugged for 2 months. It's all spoilers.
That's real
in here.
spoiler.
Yeah, spoilage. You know what element of this movie I actually really did enjoy? Is Meal Team 6. Good old the Gravy Seals. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
The-
Oh my gosh.
Redneck
yes.
Death Squad.
Gosh,
I thought they were so stupid. I think I can't tell if this, like, they were definitely, were they supposed to be funny? I don't know.
It's right on the
I
line.
can't, but I do think it's hilarious that I'm finally glad they just put in like a town militia that's like trying to lynch this dude, because like, yeah, sure, like a small community getting ravaged by this guy over and over, they're gonna get their guns.
Yeah.
I love having a redneck death squad around looking for Michael. I wish they did more, but I thought
Oh
it
my
was
gosh,
so funny.
me too.
The first thing they did was just find some guy and kill them, and then be like, "Yeah, you killed Ted."
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like, cause that whole I wholeheartedly agree. If they were a bigger part of the film, would it have made it less serious?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, it would've.
But it just would have made it so much more fun. Like, double down on the stupidity.
I wanted
Like, pull
to-
a Motel Hell.
I know, and I wanted to see them like try to squat up against Michael and get killed, but because that's perfect fodder that just never got foddered. But
No, like, well, they technically did get foddered, but in the worst fucking way
I don't
possible.
even remember it. How did any of them die?
Back of the pickup truck, fucking Mike.
Whenever that was stupid. I wanted
No.
them to fight him and not just stand there while
Well,
Michael
like,
kills them.
because they are the funniest aspect of the film, like next to Michael, because
Mm-hmm.
their whole like inspiration about it initially is like they're all hanging out at the bar, and then the news anchor says like the sheriff is pulling a curfew, everybody needs to go home, and they're like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Stop us from drinking, we need to go down to the station and see what's going on.
No,
Oh.
well, what the guy says, the bar owner he's like, sheriff whatever wouldn't shut it down if there were aliens had landed or whatever. So he's like, something must be bad, and so that's why they waited.
Okay,
It's because they thought
yes.
Michael might be back, because then they were like, Michael's back. There he is. Whatever.
I thought it was just beer field. Take away our beer and guns.
I'll show you.
All right, well, damn it, film, you should have done the beer aspect. I'm gonna have to dock down another point. No, just
I
kidding.
do think it was funny
Yeah.
how ready they all were to just be like, all right, just form a death squad, and just as soon as they heard that the sheriff is doing a curfew, they're like, death squad time.
I love that they are the main force because Michael just kills all the local officers in one fell swoop. Again, you don't see him.
I know, which was stupid because I was like, yeah, surely they're going to take this girl to the sheriff's office, and they had to make that unsafe somehow. And so it was just like, oh, yeah, he already showed up and killed every officer here. Like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like his power level has just got kind of ridiculous, and we're just supposed to accept it. And it's like, all right, well.
Yeah,
Where is he?
Like it was just like we can't have the sheriffs here. How do we get rid of them? Michael just happens to show up off camera and kill them all.
Right.
And everything. And then I just love whenever they pull up in their trucks and everything there and they're like, "What's going on, Sheriff?" And the sheriff's like, "Nothing. Nothing's going on. Just go home with your family. Go home, be a family man." And then Dr. Loomis says, "Michael Myers has returned." Yeah. Then they're like, "Michael Myers, son of a bitch, killed my son. All right, we're going to get him." Doing that. And it's like, the sheriff's like, "What the hell are you doing?" He's like, "I was calling for police." He's like, "You have no militia."
Yeah. He's like, "You have no police force."
Yes, exactly. And I love that as soon as they appear, like, going to the Gravy Seals. That's a beautiful name. Beautiful name. They show up to this one area and they're like, "Oh, I think I see something." And a leaf rustles. They unload on this shrub like nobody's business. And in all honesty, it was so funny. I could have had it go on a little bit longer just to get that extra laugh out of me and everything. But they don't even show the body they shot. They're just like, "Oh, you killed Ted."
Yeah, I was hoping that it was at the very least one of those guys that for some reason has the exact Michael Myers costume.
That would have been. Do you realize how fun that'd be? Like fucking Duck Hunt, you know, just Michael popping up and
yeah,
that's not Michael. That's not Michael.
But I would have at least felt a little bit better about Gravy Team 6 here, Meal Team 6, the Gravy Seals, because they fucking would have at least like shot somebody that looks like Michael.
Yeah.
But you don't even see, you just see a rustle in the bush and somebody goes, "That's Michael," and then they all fire on him. And then he walks up to him and he's like, "You idiot, you said this was Michael."
Yeah, but you don't even see the body or anything else
nothing.
like that. Like you could have done like literally because this film felt like it was trying to be tamed to be untamed for a few kills, it feels like. But like at least show like a face with like a drip of blood out of the mouth or something. Yeah. Because that's what led to the magnificent kill in Halloween 2 with like the Michael Myers like walking across the street and they just ram him with a car, an explosion, and they're like, "That's not Michael," you know, and they just go off. Like at least like, but then again, I know if they go around killing all Michaels, that just pushes it more towards comedic and everything, and it does make it tricky. It's like, are you trying to be more funny or trying to be serious? Because I felt like it was being unintentionally funny.
Right, like it was a serious movie, but it just had like those moments that were kind of lighthearted. I guess I say lighthearted as they unload into a shrub. I don't know. I can't. Nobody can watch that and not think that's funny. So it has to be intentional.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. And then they don't appear the rest of the time. They are gone for like the majority of the film and only appear later whenever it comes to saving both the I guess the sisters and everything, Jamie and Rachel, and they're like told like, "Oh, we need to take you out of state there. You know, the state troopers are coming here to take care of Michael inside this building."
Yeah.
And so right now, I gotta give the arc of the Gravy Seals and everything. Gotta describe it because there's definitely going to be some hip hoppening around this film and everything else like that. Yeah. But yeah, like they take him up or whatever, and they're driving out and
yeah, because they meet him at the school and they're like, he's inside. And they're like, "Well, let's go get him." And he's like, "No, you got to take us out." And they're like, "You're right. We'll save him for the state troopers."
Yeah, like I thought it was going to be like, this is it.
I was hoping to see, school shooting the good version, you know, like for them rounding lockers and trying to blast Michael, but he just takes them out one by one. It would have been cool, but
yeah, I thought it was too. And then they're just like, you know, no, we need to make sure they're safe. And it's like, okay. And so
that
then
is
they...
the responsible thing for these people to do. The people that also murdered an innocent man.
Yeah.
Maybe they learned their
Deflect,
lesson and they're like, all right, maybe we should just calm down, guys.
Yeah, and so then as they're driving away, they have like the cheesy line like the cavalry's here, and then they're just like firing guns off in the air. Yeah. And then as they're driving away, like, you know, there was a moment where they stopped, I guess, which could be the only reason as to why this happens next. But as they continue driving down, good old Michael's clinging on to the back of the truck.
How and why, they don't need to explain any of that. He's Michael. He's just there somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he silently takes out everybody as they're screaming fire in. Well, I don't think they actually fired a gunshot there. I don't think they could have gotten away with that.
He just like kind of stands up and like kills one and it collides him into a second one and throws them back off, and there's a third one in the back, and he's just standing forward and doesn't notice any of this happen behind him. And then he kills that one, and then all three of the people in the car don't notice any of that stuff happened in the trunk of their car until the driver turns around, sees everything's missing, says nothing, looks forward in the road scared, and then Michael breaks through the driver's side window, grabs him by the neck, and just rips his fucking neck flesh open.
One of the few times it actually shows gore, like, being done and everything, just like that neck rip, which, I mean, it did look good and gory and everything, but then they obviously don't rip the head off. It's just like a little gash, but...
But four kills until it's just Jamie and whatever the older girl's name was. I already forgot.
Rachel, I think?
Rachel,
yes.
And it's like, wow, they just had to kill all those people before those two noticed somehow.
Yeah, and then I might as well mention it now, even though this is the end of the Gravy Seals as it is, basically, that Rachel starts driving the car, and one of the moments, like, I couldn't take Michael seriously climbing into the back of the car, killing people. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Right.
What is this? But then as soon as he's, like, gripping onto the top and she's, like, swinging it back and forth, and Michael's legs are flailing! That's what I was laughing at! I was just like, he just looks like...
See Michael gripping onto the top of a car, like, holding on for his life.
Yeah, he's just, like, noodle flopping, just like, like, he almost looks like he should be in front of a green screen, like he's trying to pretend he's flying or something like that.
This is the point in the movie where I was saying everything was just going downhill. Because, like, after that, she flings him off and then runs over him, and it's just him standing there like a doll they propped up as he runs over
Oh
him.
my, that was so bad. That was so bad. And there's just, like, dumb moments, like, they're trying to make him scary, like, he's grabbing Rachel's shoulder as she's driving, kind of grabbing the sweater, and then at one moment, he just, like, it looks like, I'm sure in the film's defense, it looks like Michael's trying to bash his head through the window, but it almost looks like he accidentally hit it really hard.
Yeah, it looks like she's, like, slammed it and hit it or something. I don't know, but, yeah, it does... I don't know. That could have been scary. Him actually bashing his head through the window.
Yeah, seriously.
But it was just funny.
No, it was just funny. Like, he accidentally was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh. But, yeah, so that was the beautiful arc of the freaking Gravy Seals and everything.
Yeah, the last time we saw one was when she throws the body of one out of the passenger, or out of the driver's seat into the dish.
Just rolled out.
Like, all right, I'm driving now. Get out.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. But... some aspects I do want to talk about, because like I said, I want to talk about more of the fun aspects I had with this film and everything, is, like, I want to talk more about the, gas station and everything, like, as soon as they pull over, because, you know, Jason, oh my gosh, I guess we should mention this, whenever,
Michael,
whenever he's in, like, being transferred out of the ward or whatever to the ambulance, which, by the way, kudos to the guard who managed to give the entire backstory of Michael Myers and Halloween in an elevator pitch.
Right.
Just doing that as he was taking him out and everything. But as soon as Michael's loaded into the car and drives away, and then, again, surprise, he's out for the kill, he gives the doctor a good old thumbs up and everything as he jams his thumb into his skull. And, like, it was like, okay, it looks impressive, but also feels really silly, like a thumb to the forehead or whatever. But as soon as he, like, escaped from that wreckage, and then Dr. Loomis is like, I'm going to find Michael. He's going to Haddonfield.
You're right.
You know, and he stops at the gas station, which Michael stopped at earlier because we need to get him that blue jumper.
Right.
And everything.
Gotta just take it off a mechanic, I guess.
But whenever Dr. Loomis, you know, finds the body of the dead mechanic and he goes into the diner and finds a waitress dead and finds all the phones bashed in. Like,
Right.
Michael had this planned. Like, I know Dr. Loomis is going to be here.
Right.
Otherwise, is Michael bashing every single phone he runs across there?
Maybe just in the places where he kills people, just slow people down. I don't know.
True,
Yeah.
true. All right, kudos to you. Kudos to you.
It makes sense to me. It makes
yes,
sense.
Yes, but
He's not unintelligent. He's just a monster. Yeah.
Yes, that is true. Definitely true. I will give kudos to that. But I do like the reveal of, like, Dr. Loomis, like, seeing Michael, and, you know, he doesn't have the mask yet, so instead all you see is, like, all the bandages, because, like, you don't see Michael's face at all, because he's, you know, a burn victim, so he's covered up with all the bandages and everything else. And I kind of like the look they had, sort of, in the blue jumper. Now, see, here's where I'm going to get, like, a little more philosophical, well, not philosophical, I guess, all artsy with the film and everything, because, like, Michael's referred to as the shape and everything, and, you know, you can't really have a face of, like, evil or what it is besides what it is. So the fact that he's, like, covered in gauze and you see sort of like this sort of a little bloodied sort of face there, but it's like just the shape of his head and the figure and everything, him standing there and looking, I was like, that's a pretty cool visual. Yeah. I like that, and I honestly wouldn't have mind if the film continued on with him not having the mask and instead having the gauze there, because I feel like having that same white Halloween mask, I mean, I know that's how he got it in the first film, but it is just sort of funny 10 years later, like, yeah, people love this mask and everything.
Can't get enough of our Hitler mask, our local Hitler.
Yes,
Everybody
exactly.
loves local Hitler.
But then again, like, I know Scream had the same thing happen with
But
Scream's
Scream's like goofy, so you get
yes.
it. And it also started off as like a big mass-produced mask, but yeah, I mean, I guess this one's too, but
it's just it
like
feels too convenient.
Yeah, you just think in the local community that's scarred by this person, they wouldn't be selling the masks. That looks just like
True, yeah, but like I said, that's just like I said, I know that would have made the fans mad because they want to see Michael exactly the way he is.
Yeah.
And
there's plenty of ways he could have got it though that weren't that, but like
yes.
I get it. That's the easiest way. But that's this whole film just did the easiest thing over and over.
Yeah, but that was like the thing as well. So, like, so I thought it was like a cool moment, like visually cool moment. I'm like, okay, I like this, and I like Dr. Loomis talking to him, just trying to be like, look, don't hurt anybody. You could take me, trying to do that, and then he pulls out the gun super fast, but I guess in the moment he tried to pull the gun, Michael just instantaneously disappeared.
Instant transmissions.
Yeah, it's just like, and so then I honestly thought for a moment, I'm like, what if in this film, like, Dr. Loomis is seeing visions of Michael and is, like, screwed up?
They were already kind of introducing, not necessarily that for Dr. Loomis, but they were introducing that for Jamie at the time. But
yes.
She was like, was she seeing Michael? Like, because she has these bad dreams or whatever, and it's the dream man or whatever,
Yeah, boogeyman and everything. And so, yeah, it does set that up there. Just sort of like people being haunted by Michael and everything. But I guess it's only exclusive for her because she and Michael are blood related and everything.
Yeah.
So, but any thought of that was quickly eviscerated because as I heard like a car start up, I'm like, okay, he stole Dr. Loomis's car and everything. No, he stole the tow truck that bashes through the garage door, just going through, and then Dr. Loomis has to do this huge leap as he also causes the gas station to explode as well as the car, and the car explodes multiple times as Dr. Loomis is flying towards the wall there and lands on the ground. It is...
And that's not all, because the explosion also hits the telephone pole and catches it on fire, which explodes, and that's how they're out of electricity and phone lines are down for the entire
movie. Like it was just a giant explosion that kept continuing on, like a chain reaction, just going on and on. So it was just like absolutely unhinged. I absolutely loved it. I was just like, this is just funny. I'm happy seeing big giant explosions. It's stupid, but I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
I'm with you there.
So I feel like Halloween, like ever since 2, has really brought in the explosions. Like, we need explosions everywhere. Explode this kid. Blow up at the end. You know, just big giant explosions and everything. So it was just really dadgum funny. Really, 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 really funny.
It was hilarious.
It was hysterical.
You guys had to be there.
You had to be there. It was so funny.
And boy, did he have some more. That was how the phone lines went down. How the electric lines went down as he goes to the transformer where the guy's standing out there. And he just grabs him and just throws him into it and just electrocutes and also shuts down power for the whole city. I guess that was another big explosion moment.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about that moment. Let's talk about that. That was another moment where I'm like, this should be scary, but it just almost. They made Michael just way too funny because they have him like half-ass stalking, kind of Bobby behind a car in the electrician's area. And he's just like, yeah, hey you. Yeah, I see you. I'm going to report you to the police.
He's like, you're not supposed to be here. Get out of here.
Yeah, he's like, you better not go anywhere. I'll call the police on you.
Oh no! First he's like, get out of here, and then then Michael's standing there, and then his next thing he's like, all right, don't go anywhere.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call the police.
It was just the goofiest thing. Like,
just starts walking away slowly.
Like it's just like he caught Michael doing something he shouldn't have been doing.
Are you naughty dog?
Yes, like it's just. So funny. And so then it's just like, you know, he turned, and I do love that the guy does like a turnaround a couple of times, like, huh? And then, you know, Michael steps up, grabs him, throws him on a transformer, and just, it goes on, and several explosions happen and everything. And it's just very funny and goofy, just that whole exchange and everything. So
sure, being electrocuted would be horrific in real life, but I don't think there's a way to put it in a movie that's not funny.
I know they would never do this. I almost wish they would do like a Home Alone 2 Marv thing, showing the skeleton. I guess I just want Halloween 4 to be a comedy at this point.
Honestly, I mean, I feel like you don't have to change a whole lot to make it a comedy.
No, not at all. But, oh man, yeah, those are like the big over-the-top explosion moments, I would say, and everything. So let's talk about more of the stuff they tried to make more serious, like setting up the whole Brady plot line and everything.
Brady.
Yes, because basically Rachel was supposed to go out with Brady on Halloween night, but due to something happening, they explained on the phone, and the parents having to go out of the house there, she has to babysit Jamie. And whenever she tells Brady that, of course he's not understanding. Meanwhile, they have this whole exchange with, again, the prettiest woman in the entire film, Kathleen Kinmont playing Kelly Meeker. He ends up being like, okay, I'll hang out with someone else then. And so that was just sort of a thing that happened there. And I was just like, okay, we're really going to do this subplot. And they just kind of half-assedly do the sort of like moment, because basically Rachel finds out that he's cheating on her with the gal, because she's taking Jamie out trick-or-treating, and they go up to the house and she sees that Brady's in the background of the house, where this woman comes out scantily clad, like t-shirts, you know, panties, bra underneath, or was for the time being.
Yeah, it comes off.
Yes, it comes off and everything. Yeah, don't you worry.
They set those puppies free.
Yes, absolutely.
No bail. All right. Those are free citizens.
Cops do it by the book.
Cops do it by the book. And they love their coffee.
And, you know, he tries to do, like, no, wait, it isn't what it looks like.
Yeah. No, babe, come back.
Yeah, babe. Oh, babe.
She's like, I thought you were different. He's like, I am different. I'm just also the same, you know. I'm just also gonna hit this pussy. That's not yours. Anyway, hope you forgive me later for some reason, because I don't have a good one.
Yeah, like, they give him a redemption arc. I'm like, I don't care about the redemption
Yeah, that's the thing, is I
arc.
don't care about, like, any of these people's relationship with each other, because it's Michael Myers killing everybody in the movie. It's like a genocide's happening, and they're like, Brady didn't like me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, it's one thing if it's like Friday the 13th, where they have that sort of like stuff set up,
Yeah,
but
because
it's
most
just,
of the time, like, that stuff is going on while, like, they don't know, and, like, these characters don't know either, but, like, we know, and, like, we've already seen the ambulance scene, and, like, the fucking... Is the whole sheriff's office destroyed by that point? Probably. I don't know. It's just like...
it just wasn't
care about
interesting.
this, yeah.
Like, they focused on one thing and it was uninteresting.
Yeah.
There, so I think that's just what made it worse. Is like, okay, we're still going on, because not only is it revealed to the audience that's going on, but also the gal Kathleen, her dad is the sheriff.
True.
Basically, so whenever that occurs, that's like something else, because basically they end up finding Rachel and Jamie and bringing them back to the sheriff's house, because that's going to be the safest place, and they're hunkered down there, and they have moments like where it feels like they're going to talk about something, but then they drop it, like, because Brady goes up to visit Rachel, and he's like, hey, you guys doing okay? What's going on? And it's just like, no, it's not okay while the killer's out there. He's like, what do you mean? It's like, Michael Myers. He's like, who?
Who's Michael?
And it's like, that's her uncle. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to the attic. Like, it just felt like it just got dropped real quickly and everything. And then they tried to set up like a moment where there's like a bit of like cattiness from Rachel towards Kelly for cheating as she's making coffee, which, in Kelly's defense, she's literally like, I had no idea he was going out with you or
Right.
whatever. And then Rachel's like, I don't care. Sure, you didn't or whatever. And even though I was like believing Kelly, I'm like, I genuinely think she's just like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, why not?
Right. Like, I don't know. I think the person you should be mad at is the one that did the cheating. I don't know. Like,
yeah, like, it's very misplaced who you should be
Yeah.
mad at or whatever.
but I get it.
But, I guess she's simping hard for him and everything. Literally was talking about how, like, he could propose to her tonight and, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
yada,
earlier
yada.
she was talking about that, yeah.
Doing that. But they had a bit of cattiness. And then, again, like, it continues on. And then it shows, like, Brady, like, trying to save both Rachel and Jamie. And then, like, Michael's there after he's done some killing, which will go down the list. And he's just like, yo, I'll defend you guys and everything. I'm like... at this point, I don't care about a redemption arc from this dude or whatever.
I know. I mean, I did like that at least one character like tried to fight Jason, or sorry, tried to fight.
True.
I keep on saying Jason. He tried to fight Michael.
That is true. I will give credit to that. At least it's like that, as opposed to him going, yikes.
That was like one moment where I like that they showed the scale of like, this is the opponent you're up against. It's like this guy that's like, probably been in a few fights, seems like a jock, feels like somebody that could take someone on, he's like throwing fists and hitting him over the head with a gun and everything, and he just kind of stands there and then just picks him up and kills him. Like,
yeah,
it's like, okay, this is the scale of the guy you're up against. Like, that shows more to me than like showing up to one of his crime scenes and being like, oh no, he did this.
Yeah, like, oh my god.
Right, especially if they're not, like, I feel like those would have hit more if they showed, like, they did as much as they could without getting the R rating, I guess, but if they just scaled into that territory and showed like mangled bodies and stuff, then maybe it would have an impact on us in the audience instead of just showing, oh, there's some desks flipped over here, and the inside of this ambulance is covered in blood.
Yeah. The bodies are so mangled you can't even tell what's
now.
what, even though you didn't really see anything.
Yeah, and then they don't show you any of it. It's like, okay, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't get the impact as a viewer, even of, Michael, the destructive force. I just get like, all right. But I get it more whenever you see Brady trying to clock him, and then you just like, nope, you're dead. So I appreciated that about him, but yeah, I didn't give a fuck about Brady dying.
Yeah, because I think it's like around that part of the film where the killing actually starts picking up, where Michael's actually seen killing people, because basically what happens is, like, they have like the one of the deputies or other policemen like sitting in the chair, like watching the door and everything, and that's where he's been the entire time. And then it's like Kelly's walking up with the coffee, like, oh man, I wish we had the power on so we could watch like MTV or something, right? Like
Right.
they're giving her like any sort of last characterization before they kill her. But I do like the reveal, like as soon as she lights the candle or whatever, it shows the mangled up body of the sheriff, and then stands up from the rocking chair, turns with a shotgun held in hand, and he points it at her, and you're like, oh, he's going to start blasting.
Yeah.
But no, this, and I'm assuming this is probably like your favorite kill of the film,
That's
just
the
with
one I
how
remember
creative
most, yeah.
is. He rams the shotgun through Kelly, and I guess it's like through a door or something like that, and so the barrel ends up sticking through the wood, so basically she's skewered by a shotgun and just basically hangs there and everything. And it's such a cool shot, but it's so done briefly, because again, they're really shy about the gore in this film.
Yeah.
A bit. Like, they'll show it a couple of times, but for the most part, it's pretty freaking tame. It feels like there anyhow.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like they're trying to, like, convey a large scale of destruction, but yeah, you don't actually get to see most, like, the gore most of the time. It's pretty scaled back.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that there. But yeah, and then that's whenever they have like the whole chase around or something, and you know, like Brady ends up trying to fight him on the staircase, and
Right, because he used both of his gun bullets earlier trying to open the front door. And then his reason for why it didn't work is he goes, it's metal. That was the explanation. And she goes, literally Rachel says, what does that mean? And then he says, we'll have to go upstairs. They just drop the point. Like, we can't get out this front door that's locked from the inside because it's metal.
yeah, because like that was the whole like point there, is just like, you know, okay, we're locking the door on the inside, you know, so that way no one gets out or whatever. And then as soon as they try to get out, it's like, where's the key? It's like, I don't know. He's like, stand back. Like, blows a hole in the door. It can't open. He's like, it's metal. And she's like, what's that mean?
Yeah. Every character in this game is like, or every character in this movie is video game build. They're like,
oh my God.
shoot the lock and we're good.
And then, you know, Jason's there or whatever, and then he ends up... No, see, I pulled a you, man. I love talking about boy Jason. Michael's there. He appears, Michael. And they start running upstairs, and, you know, Michael's doing the slow strut, and he's having the worst dadgum time loading the shotgun shells. And I remember you just openly said, walk backwards and load, multitask.
Yeah, I was like, bro, you gotta learn. You gotta learn how to breathe and do other tasks at the same time.
You know, and that was just the unfortunate thing. As soon as he tried to shoot, it was too late. He already had a hold of the gun and basically just threw it over the... Well, actually, no, he didn't throw it over. He just, like, pushed him back, I guess. Or something.
Yeah.
Because he still had the gun. Because he hits...
him. Yeah, he pushed him with the gun. Yeah, and then yeah. He pushes him back, and he has the gun backwards, and it looks like he's gonna shoot the gun.
I thought he was
backwards.
going to shoot himself. I would have lost my marbles, because he has like the barrels pointed towards his chest, and I'm like, this man.
But it turns out he's just using it as a club, and he tries to swing at Michael. It doesn't do anything, and then he then he swings his fist at Michael, and it doesn't do anything.
And then he just gets his neck snapped, which they stand in front of like that large window, and so I'm like, oh, he's getting chucked through there. But no, I think they just did that just to bring out the silhouettes and the strength of Michael. Yes, there as he strangles them and drops them down. And then for the most part, there's not any other kills from what I remember, aside from the gravy seals.
Yeah, the gravy seals.
So
yeah,
it's like...
I think so, because then they have their big scramble on the roof, right? Where
yeah.
they're running away from Michael.
Or they're like lowering her down with like a wire.
Cable, like a satellite cable.
And,
yeah.
And then, you know, Rachel also falls from the roof there. I thought it was going to pull like what they did with 2, where it was like a subversion or whatever, where like, you know, in the first one, Michael disappears, then Laurie Strode disappears whenever she falls from the window. So I thought they were going to do that again, which I don't feel like they needed to at that point.
Right.
Would have felt like more overdone. Like, okay, is this just what has to be in every Halloween film?
Yeah,
Someone falls and
this
they
shot.
disappear.
Yeah.
So I felt like that was fine. But yeah, I mean, aside from like a few fun kills, that's basically it. It's just mostly Michael just stalking, being creepy and everything else. One thing that I do want to talk about that is probably the last big thing to talk about is Jamie herself and how her character arc went, because
The Joker, baby.
yeah.
I'm the Joker, baby.
Yeah, it was a joke, all right. Anyways,
The killing joke.
like so like they set up early on that she's having nightmares of Michael and everything, just because, again, it's like, oh, is it because of just like family or like trauma? But then you like see she actually has like photos of like, her mom, Jamie Lee Curtis, good lord, yeah, Lori or whatever, in the box. And then I guess she even has like a young picture of like young Michael dressed up as the clown or whatever. And so they set up as well, like she just gets picked on because she's related to Myers, and like the kids are a bunch of assholes.
Oh yeah,
and everything. Which, to be fair, kids can be absolutely abhorrent like that. Don't get me wrong,
especially in the 80s, man, bullying was a big thing.
Yes,
you didn't have no internet. You just bullied people,
and so they're just like bullying her constantly. I'm just like, good night, good lord already. So they're like setting up this stuff or whatever, and again, they have her emotions go from like super sad to being like, okay, super happy, back and forth. And then it's like, initially she's like, oh, I don't want to go trick-or-treating, and then all of a sudden she wants to go trick-or-treating because I guess the kids picked on her for not wearing a costume or whatever. And so then she's like, oh, I want to go trick-or-treating. And so they're like, yeah, okay. So they go to the drugstore, which is where you find Rachel talking to Brady, blah blah blah. And then they have like the thing where it's like, I was immediately laughing as soon as she entered the costume section because they just had a Michael mask just right there. And I was just like, geez, I'm curious what that'll be used for.
Right.
And then, oh, wouldn't you know it? Michael grabs it for himself whenever he's in the store, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't know. And it's one of those things where they chalk it up to like her nightmares or whatever, but then they show him actually leave. So it's like, I don't like, he was just there, but I'm not going to kill them while it's light outside. That's just not right. Like,
yeah.
So early in the movie, I can't do that.
Yeah, don't be ridiculous. Doing that anyhow, but yeah, it just kind of felt silly. And then as soon as she chooses the clown thing, that was already a sign of like, okay, like this has to be just because she saw the photo of Michael that she wants to do that or whatever. So I'm like already picking up on the hints, like, okay, getting a clown outfit exactly like Michael wore the day he killed his sister.
And she looks in the mirror at the shop and she sees like a little young Michael in the mirror or whatever, and she freaks out. So they like hint at it, But...
Yeah, they do. And so they go back and forth with it, and then, goes out trick-or-treating, and then Jamie decides to run off with other trick-or-treaters. Says it's like, yeah, let's hang out. And it's just so they could get separated, and Rachel could get freaked out seeing Michael everywhere. But turns out, who knows what Michael was real, because apparently a bunch of dumb teenagers are dressed up as Michael Myers, which Dr. Loomis almost just straight up shoots one, because there was like multiple Myers standing around everywhere.
What a dumb idea. Like, I get it. Kids are dumb, and like kids are also mean. So like, they might do that. But man, how dumb can you be? Being like, yeah, the guy that would get shot on sight by anybody in this town, let me get a costume and dress just like him
exactly
on the day of the year where he does all of his murdering. Like,
yes, like that's like the thing too. It's one thing to dress up like him, like if you're roaming around with other trick-or-treaters like the guy was in 2. It's another thing if you're just fucking around with the cops. Like at that point it's like you have a death wish.
Right. It's like, okay, let me dress up as America's #1 most wanted killer so I can scare cops. Like,
yeah, it just was whatever. And again, like, Michael continues chasing after them, and he gets the kitchen knife from the attic, but he never uses it. He tries to stab, but he never, I think, actually attacks anybody. Well, actually, I think he stabbed one of the Gravy Seals in the back with a knife.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe, but then the rest is just like chunking them over. So I felt like for like the kitchen knife being like his staple weapon and everything, I felt like he didn't utilize it too much, which I'm not complaining about. Some of the kills we got were like hysterical or whatever, but at the same point it was sort of like, okay, I guess it's just like a completionist set.
Yeah.
Like collect all pieces. Like, there you go. Boom. Michael. And so I don't know. And so they have like this whole thing or whatever. And so, you know, they end up like they have several psych outs or whatever, because like at first it's like, you know, get in the car, you know, and it's like, okay, they're at the, you know, sheriff's house, which I knew Michael was going to break in somehow. They don't show how he breaks in, but he just does.
They show how he gets there, at least. He just is in the back seat, just laying down of one of the cops that shows up to defend him.
Yeah, and they make sure to purposely show, like, okay, we're showing you Michael.
Yeah, and then they show like where he discovers that he didn't even close the car door. The car door was still open when that cop walks out. It's like,
I just wonder if Michael's just wanting to screw with them at that point. It's just kind of like, yeah, who knows at this point. But yeah, I totally forgot about that.
But yeah, they don't show how he gets in. They show them boarding up every entrance, and then he's just already inside.
But yeah, they have this whole thing set up for like Jamie or whatever, because basically after she drops down from the roof, isn't able to save Rachel, she runs off and Dr. Loomis rescues her, and they're like, quick, let's go to the school. And then of course the school's locked, so you know what's the Haddonfield skeleton key? A gun.
Yeah, just shoot through the lock.
Shoot through the lock and open, and I'm sure it's just to set the alarm to show something's going on, I guess, or whatever. I don't know. They had no reason. I thought there was going to be like extra lore dropped or something like
why
that.
He would he won't go to this school because as a kid he hated math or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, but they didn't, and Michael appears, throws Dr. Loomis through a door, and then continues pursuing Jamie. And then, and then Rachel comes in to rescue her. It's just so by the numbers, like it goes this, that.
Yeah, and they're like little moments that could be interesting. Like, yeah, they get out and there's the gravy seals, and but instead of doing some school shooting, they're like, yeah, well, let's just drive out.
It just was,
and then he was on the truck the whole time. We didn't notice, I guess.
I don't know. It just, it's just, you could tell like
It's just started, it starts slipping as to like how things connect.
And so then you end up like, let's go to like whenever he hit stunt dummy Michael, and he just ends up flying backwards, like he just got like, you know, punched by a Dragon Ball Z character, like doing that, and then lands in like some rubble or whatever, and you know, all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, like I guess there's like some hints, but like Jamie all of a sudden is like interested in seeing Michael up close. And so what I thought was going to happen, and I honestly do you want me to like describe what actually happens or how I would have ended it?
Let's do what happened. And then, how we would have done
anyways, that's good. So she goes up to see Michael and is like holding his hand or whatever, and they're like, Jamie, get away from her or whatever. And, you know, Michael does the sit up there and stands up, and then the firing squad unloads on him.
Yeah, I just yell, get down, and Jamie does, and then they just unload.
Yeah, get down. And there's like a couple of gravy seals, but it's mostly sheriffs there.
It's just all the officers. It's the state troopers or whatever they call it.
Yes, for sure. I thought,
and the sheriff too, he's there.
Yeah, and they're just unloading in him, and Michael is just moving in a way that doesn't make me believe he's being shot at. He's just like, ooh.
It's like he's poorly acting like he's being shot.
Yes, poorly acting like, like Jim Carrey in The Mask going, doing that. That's what it felt like. And so then he falls backwards, but where he falls, I guess, was like a well. A well or something, and then falls down, and the whole ground just starts pouring in. It's like a sinkhole. And so then they like so then at that point, you know, they reunite Rachel and Jamie with like the parents and stuff, and it's just like, yes, it Michael is finally in hell.
Yeah, I love
and
that.
everything.
They don't check or anything. They're just like, yeah, well, he's dead.
Yeah, he's like,
this guy that has never ever dies. He's dead now because he went into a big hole.
he went into a big hole. That means super death.
That means you can't get any more dead than in a big hole.
It just was dumb. And then, like, as soon as they show, like, the first person perspective, I was like, no, they're doing the Jamie bit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because basically it mimics, like, the first film of, like, how Michael ends up finding, like, a kitchen knife and goes after his sister, but she finds a pair of scissors and goes after the foster mother drawing the bathwater, and you hear screams, and Dr. Loomis runs upstairs because he's worried, and then he starts freaking out, going, no!
Pulls out his gun.
Yes, and tries to shoot Jamie, who's holding a pair of bloody knife, wearing the mask, basically mimicking Michael in that moment there, and everyone's looking like, oh my god, she is now Michael Myers or evil, I guess.
Yeah, the curse has been passed to her now.
It felt like it was just like a big, like, aha moment, kind of like the Saw movie where it's like, oh, boom, mic drop and everything. But it just felt like sort of weak.
It did. It felt like it was in the wrong movie,
Yes.
It felt like even though they tried to structure it in a way where they hinted at it and, like, this was happening, I feel like just Michael's motivation was never, like, I don't know. It was never one of those things that's, like, well, it's a curse that's gonna get passed down to the next generation or whatever. Like, there's no hint of that. It's just like, this guy's a monster, he's evil, he's fucked up in the head because of whatever, his childhood, I guess. This guy. It's this guy. It's always just been, this guy is an exceptional fucked up guy, and now suddenly it's just like, well, here's another one that happened because she saw him once. Like,
yeah, like, that's literally it. Because, like, I know you could be like, oh, well, don't you see it add up? She was bullied, being constantly harassed as being the niece of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
She suddenly wanted to wear the clown outfit. She suddenly, seeing constant visions of him just grew to, like, be connected to him, and then at that moment right before he died, she touched his hand or whatever. Right. It was all subtle hints and everything, but it didn't feel like hints. It just felt like lazy writing there. Like they wanted this ultimate twist, but it just didn't feel deserved.
Yeah, and I feel like even there's just ways, like, in just filmmaking, you could sell that to me better. You know what I mean? Not even just, like, with extra writing or anything, but just the way, like, if they had a moment, even if they just showed a moment that they shared whenever he was, like, waking up or something, and they, like, looked at each other's eyes or something, and they made eye contact for the first time, and then they kill him in front of her or something, and she, like, likes it or something, then like, there's a way you could make it by, but just her, like, looking at him and then saying, get down, and her actor not being in the shot at all as this guy gets, like, riddled
yes,
and then not coming back to her or how she feels about that at all, and just expecting the audience to believe that, like, now she's evil. It's just like, I don't know, it's like it's like they made this just, like, try to make it, again, too cookie cutter, too palatable. Let's not go too in depth into anything, and just, like, you guys buy this, right? We set it up for you properly. Great. Okay.
Yeah, and so I think that ending, once I saw it, I was just like, yeah, okay, like, it didn't piss me off or anything, but it was just sort of like,
no, yeah,
like, this is the ending you guys were trying to do, but you didn't think about actually how to reasonably get there,
right? Like,
so
I wasn't all the way bought in.
No.
So whenever I saw it, I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever.
For sure. And like I said, maybe, I don't know. Okay, so, like, my idea on how I thought that maybe it would be written a little bit better.
What would you do?
Yes, if I was a writer, granted, I wouldn't be surprised if I took some inspiration from, spoiler alert, Friday the 13th Part 4, in case you don't want to get spoiled. Oh. But sort of, like, have a moment where she sees him, because this has, like, been the nightmare that has been haunting her entire life. She's clearly traumatized and everything else, but just, like, kind of looking at it just to see if he's dead. And then, like, as soon as he, like, twitches, she grabs a knife and starts stabbing him repeatedly, doing something like that. And then, and then, like, the cops are getting ready to shoot, and are like, oh, stand back. And then she stabs repeatedly or whatever. And then as, she stands up or whatever, they remove the bloody mask off her like they did Michael in the first film, and they do the same pan away shot, and then maybe ride off something like that of like, well, Michael's dead, but at the same point, kind of like...
Yeah, and then they don't even have to show her kill the foster mom later. They could just show the foster mom in the bath or drawing the bath or whatever, and her standing there with the scissors and just imply, and that's the last shot or whatever.
Yes, or maybe like Dr. Loomis is even uncertain because he's been trying to kill Michael for like the past, 2 decades or something like that.
Or he is like a psychiatrist. Maybe he could have a little session with her or something. You
oh
know?
My gosh, that would have been even better. That's like literally what he does there and everything.
But we forget that he's not just a screaming guy in an overcoat because he hasn't been anything but that this whole movie.
Yeah, so like I felt like would have been a much better ending. Or whatever, as opposed to feeling like it's a gotcha, she's evil, do. Like it's just
they just had to set it up a little more. You know, they had to give us a reason to believe it, and I felt like they thought they did that, but they did not do enough. Yeah.
No, I just felt like that just would have been a much more compelling ending and everything else, where it's like Dr. Loomis is kind of like just like at the point where he's like, okay, the hunt for Michael is done. Because they give no indication that Michael's back by any means of the word. It's like just sort of like, yep, he's dead. But then we have Jamie as Michael Myers too, basically. But like, just have him be just sort of like trying to be at peace, thinking Michael's dead, but also just having that deep, bothering feeling that like the presence is still around, and it's just with her, and while he can't place his finger on it, he's just like, I just don't feel right about this. I just felt like that would have been a much cooler ending and everything else. Because I mean, like, let's see the trauma. Let's roll the trauma there. Because obviously, like I said, there is inklings of it, given her nightmares and how she's bullied and everything. I just felt like instead of focusing on the stupid dumbass like boyfriend cheating on Rachel plot or something like that, because literally I'm pretty damn sure they only included that just so they could show like, ooh, sex, ooh, sexy bod, which it's funny because like they really like linger on her about to remove the bra, but then as soon as it's off, it's like off camera and everything, and I'm just like, man, they're trying to milk every aspect of it without actually showing a lot of nudity.
And I should have just showed it this time.
Yes, for sure. Just let them fly and everything.
If you're gonna go that far, just let the boobies out, man.
Yes, for sure. I mean, Motel Hell wasn't scared. They had boobies, ding dongs everywhere.
Yeah, dude, let them dangle.
Yes, yes.
Don't be a pussy about it. Either let them dangle or don't put that scene in at all.
Yeah, that is true. I can't dispute with that.
See some balls while we're at
it. Yeah, let's see them balls. Bam. You know what I'm saying,
Brucey boy? I'm tired of all the women having to show the skin, man. I want to see a wrinkly ball sack.
Lori Scroat.
Lori Scroat.
God damn it. All right, I'm starting to lose it at the end of this episode.
Derailing.
Yes, we're derailing. Aside from that, any other aspects you wanted to talk about with this film or anything else? Yeah, no. I am perfectly fine. No, I agree. I very much agree with that. So, with that being said, you have obviously have heard about the deliberation about the next film.
Yeah.
Usually, this is the part where you just
discussion.
Fly blindly in. And much to the behest of my own recommendation that I was thinking about, I am implored by my significant other to watch a certain film. Yeah, we are very much doing it to some extent. To what extent, we shall see.
Okay.
But Aaron already knows this. Y'all don't know this, but one of the things we've talked about is slashers and everything, and how Michael Myers is definitely one of the most prominent slashers, and him returning. And gonna be honest, this next film focuses on a particular slasher that has been rearing their head to the public eye, especially as of late with the third installment that just came out in theaters. So, yeah, you know him, you love him. It's Art the Clown, because Yeah, geez, you could tell I'm really excited about this.
You
I'm
seem
I'm
like
so
it.
I'm so yeah about that. But yeah, it's Terrifier. We're gonna watch next. It's Terrifier. We're gonna watch Terrifier.
I've heard of this movie just today.
Yes, just
Apparently-
today. Aaron had no idea about anything about this, so you're going to have to keep a clean mind. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode. Please pray for us on the next episode when we're popping the scary with Terrifier.
Oh, I'm terrified.
Bro, you have no freaking idea. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube, Castbox, or iTunes platforms to stay up to date when new episodes drop. To see what Aaron and I are up to, check out our respective Twitter accounts. For me, it is @CoalkirkVA, and for Aaron, it is @AnimalGameDev. Thank you all so much for listening to our podcast. We'll speak to you all again next time when we're popping the scary.